Into this week's astrology. And we are in a new moon week. So you can find that this weekend through to the new moon on the 25th, there's an energy of being pulled within, of wanting to spend time by yourself, of feeling a little bit more sensitive to what's going on in the world or the people around you. And it could be a time of just introversion and really honoring the fact that maybe you don't have the energy to do what you would normally do. And that's okay. It's really a week of embracing our inner wildness, the way in which we are, no matter how we try to deny it, always attuned to nature. And sometimes that relationship to nature can bring up fear, like the ego can naturally fear when we are in nature by ourselves, when we are remembering that wildness, a whole bunch of resistance can come up to that. But the new moon on Wednesday, which will be in Gemini in sidereal astrology, but in a part of Gemini called Ardra. And Ardra is ruled by the fierce form of Shiva called Rudra. And Rudra literally translates to the howler. It is all about the wildness of our emotions, the wildness of our very being, which has been civilized or domesticated by the collective energy we live in. Or you could argue it's been civilized by the ego. And so this new moon, and definitely the beginning of this week, because the sun will enter Ardra Nakshatra, the same lunar mansion that the new moon will be in. The sun enters today. You can find that it really brings up the ways in which you feel your own wildness, the way in which you try to control it. And the encouragement for this week is to let that emotion up and out, to allow yourself to surrender into the intelligence of wanting to cry, of being super angry, of needing to raise your voice, but doing it in a way where, you're not putting that emotion onto others, but you're allowing it to be released from where it's being held within the body. It's a beautiful week to consider how you can allow that wildness back in, how you can give it a space within this body, how you can give it a place within your life. And that might be spending more time in commune with nature, going camping, going for a walk in a forest or the bush, spending time with animals, and not just domesticated animals, but those that can't be domesticated, all of which can help remind us, can help light up that flame from within that knows, that remembers its connection to nature, that can never actually be separated from nature because it is nature. So I'll quickly mention, if you want a little bit of help, support, cosmic support with the new moon on Wednesday, the Gemini new moon ritual and reading is now live. We'll be working with Rudra in the sacred practice, and it includes a personal written reading. So you can see exactly where this wildness is wanting to be lit, where it's wanting to come to life within your chart. Now, if we come back to today, like I mentioned, the 22nd of June, the sun is entering Ardra Nakshatra. The sun is in Gemini in sidereal astrology, and it's in a part of Gemini that sits between Orion and Pollux and Castor. It's called Ardra Nakshatra, and it is all about the god Rudra. The sun will be in Ardra until the 6th of July, so you can find there's actually a lot of churning that's going on within you, a lot of maybe emotion that you've pushed down that just can no longer be kept that way. So this is really a time of not fearing the way in which that can't be controlled, not fearing the unpredictability of wildness in your life and of your own wildness, and understanding that it's a balance. The ego wants to control, it wants to contain and restrict, and and it finds safety in that. And that's beautiful and that's fine. And then there's another part of ourselves that fully trusts that wildness, that knows that we're always safe in its expression, that knows it's our full, authentic self. And so while the sun is in Ardra, it's a beautiful chance to express that. Today, Mars is going to be in harmony with Jupiter, which I like. It gives wisdom to the actions that we want to take, particularly today, but we'll also have some runoff through to Wednesday. And that can mean that you take small actions and they have these huge results. You take small actions and it's not from a place of just me, it's from a place of Dharma, it's from a place of doing the right thing. And the moon today will be in Bharani, and Bharani is all about creativity. So you can find that that wisdom wants to take expression through writing, through poetry, through sculpture, through art. It's really asking you, and even if it's just imagining and daydreaming, it's really like how we get to channel that wildness back into creative pursuits. You might want to take some time today to do that. Tomorrow, Mercury is in Cancer, and it will be in a part of Cancer called Punavasu. So it moves into Cancer, it'll be in part of Cancer called Punavasu, which is a nakshatra there until the 25th with the new moon. And so this can be a time of, like from Monday, a time of conversations which are all about making amends, all about restoring something that maybe has felt broken or hasn't been working. It can be a time where there's a sense of renewal and almost like you're willing to give up whatever it was you were fighting for, whatever it was that you were angry about or remorseful about. It's a time where there's an opportunity to put that to the side so that renewal can take place. The sun is going to be square Saturn and Neptune. So there's heaps of collective energy at play like there was last week. Last week we had Jupiter kind of adding its energy to Saturn and Neptune with the goddess Art, which is creating a bit of chaos. There's a lot of disintegration going on around institution, governmental systems, and almost like the bursting of the bubble of idealism we've held around them. And as the sun now squares that same point, it can really be like our awareness is understanding what's really going on. And we need to be discerning at this point in time, particularly this week, but going forward, being discerning of if something you're hearing is really true, particularly in the media, um, really listening to the truth within in order to discern what is going on. You can find that there can be old patterns from the personality and the ego that pop up this week where almost like a disbelief of what you're seeing, a desire just to return to the stability of how things were, and at the same time considering what you gain by allowing instability to take place. The moon on Monday will be in Kritika, which is with the Pleiades. And so there is a level of discernment we're given on Monday and through to Tuesday, an ability to really cut through, see what is actually honest. And you can find that your mind is very cutting Monday, Tuesday. So also be careful because we don't want to hurt anyone with that when we make things very black and white. But we can use it to decipher what is true, which is really helpful with the Sun square Saturn Neptune. Then we get to Tuesday. Mercury is going to be square Chiron. Just be really careful of where you might be saying things from an old wounding, where you go on defense when when someone is asking you a question or making a judgment, and maybe you hear that as an attack on yourself and it's actually not. So just be careful of where that need to defend yourself pops up. We all do it. And defense is the first sign of war. It's always the ego. On Wednesday, we have the Gemini new moon. I mentioned that at the beginning. It's in Ardra Nakshatra, which I spoke about. It can just really be the culmination of a lot of what has been brewing last week, particularly on today, kind of through to Wednesday. The sun is going to be sitting perfectly with Jupiter in conjunction for this new moon. So, although there can be a lot of emotion, tears, crying, um, letting something out that you've been holding back, like roaring at the earth, roaring with the injustice that you see, there's also the opportunity for wisdom to conquer ignorance, for wisdom to prevail over what seems to be ignorance. So pay attention to that. On Thursday, Venus will be in Kritika. It moves into, again, alignment with the Pleiades. Kritika Nakshatra, it will be there till the 8th of July. And this is really nice. It E Venus in Critica gifts us with discernment in our desires. You can find that as Thursday kicks around, the things that you've been wanting in your life, be that like more money, power, relationship, love, home, belonging, whatever it is, it's almost like the fire of Critica, the fire of this energy gives you the ability to cut through, to actually see what is going to serve you from what the ego has kind of been thinking it wants. Because actually, all it wants is happiness and belonging, which you can give yourself. So you can find that desires that have been with you for a while, all of a sudden just like melt and disintegrate in the fire of Critica. That there's real clarity around what's going to serve you and maybe even what you're chasing after or trying to attract into your life that might actually just cause you more pain than actually happiness. So there can be like a little bit of a giggle or a little bit of an understanding of the game that the universe is playing with you on Thursday. And added to that, the moon is in Pranavasu on Thursday, which gives us great insight. It really helps us understand, bring to light things that we've been arguing with ourselves about. It can also bring about resolution within the mind, which will help with that Venus in Critica. On Friday, we actually have some really nice energy towards the end of this week. So if you've been like, I really need like um a bit of like light cosmic juice, it's there. Friday, the sun will be sextile Mars, Venus will be sextile the North Node. So there's some really nice energy just around like taking action that's in alignment, really with Venus kind of like on Thursday, yeah, with that idea of like some desires having fallen away, you can find on Friday there's almost a new awareness around what you want to call into your life. And the moon is in Pusha Nakshatra, so there is a sense of belonging, feeling at home within yourself, and even just giving yourself permission to be at home, to retreat, to do something that you really enjoy. It's a really nice day for that. On Saturday, Mercury will be trine Saturn and Neptune. So pay attention to the media, pay attention to conversations that you're having, and even to truth that you perceive around the collective energy. There'll be some not resolution, but just kind of like an understanding that there's a collective understanding that we need to go through this change, that it is for our highest good, that it is bringing something positive. So that's this week's astrology. I'll quickly mention that on the 6th of July, the Goddess Mystery School is starting. So if you've ever been interested in the goddesses like Ate or Aite, who I just spoke about, or Hecate, Lilith, Isis, we'll be working with those goddesses over a 9-week period, embodying their energy, understanding it in your chart. They're the asteroids. So if you're interested in furthering your connection to the goddess, you don't need a whole lot of astrology background to take part in this course. It's really about your connection and wisdom from them, but you will also learn about their meaning in your chart. You can see the details below. I think there are about eight places available if you want to join us. Have a wonderful week.